I think what I'm doing now is already working better. I think yesterday was a big success, even though likely those videos will never get any views, and that's okay. I still think it was a great day. I think I learned a lot, so I have definitely improved on my ability to talk off the top of my head. I think yesterday's log video was very smooth. Hoping I can do that again today. I think that the gameplay videos were pretty solid for the most part. One was bad, but for the most part, they were a lot better. I think I'm really developing the skill, and I think by doing it 6 times a day, I'm gonna get there much faster. With that said, this has been so much harder. Even one day, it was so much harder than yesterday. Or not yesterday, I mean the day before yesterday. Where, well, I guess the day before yesterday, because I didn't do anything on the day before yesterday. But anyway, it's really difficult. Posting 6 times a day is really hard. Even just making 6 thumbnails is a lot of work. And I'm thankful that I put in all the time before this to get to this point to be able to execute like that. But I definitely have so much farther to go. There's so much more I have to learn and be able to do. I have a clear vision in my mind, right, of what I would like my work to look like. But it's just not there. There's a huge gap between my skills and my vision. And I really need to just close that gap as quickly as possible. I feel like the little Dunning-Kruger chart, right? I started up here, of course, at the uninformed optimism point, and now I have plummeted all the way down to the informed optimism, and now I'm slowly crawling my way out of the dip, out of that horrible period where it's like, I know what this is going to take now, or at least I have some vague idea of what this is going to take, but I'm just so far away from being able to execute the way that I want to. I expect so much out of myself so early, which is probably a little arrogant to think that I could execute the way that I wanted to immediately, but I will continue to follow up and keep going. I tried to come up with something more spectacular or deep or philosophical to talk about in this one because I think this is an interesting idea, right? How does a beginner look at their work and assess it and implement improvement to get better, right? I think that's a very difficult thing to do, and I feel like it's why a lot of people stay stuck in the beginner stage for eternity or they quit. A lot of people approach this and they put something out and they think, my stuff's good enough. It's just like this guy's. But they fail to see all of the ways that what they made doesn't measure up to what the person that they're looking up to has done. I'm hoping I don't fall into that, right? I really don't want to. I don't think I am because I'm so critical of myself, and this is not my first rodeo. You know, I've done this once before, got all the way up to 50K subs, but I had to start over, and that means, well, I guess I didn't have to. I chose to. I think that's important. I chose to start over. And that means I'm in a beginner's mindset again, right? I've completely started all the way over. It's a new skill. I'm not making the same type of content, that I was before. So I have to learn all of this stuff to get to where I want to be. And I think that idea of a beginner starting something and not seeing all the flaws that are in their work is really, really interesting to me. I don't know if I have necessarily something important to say about that, but it's just something I've been thinking a lot about because I spend a lot of time in communities where small YouTubers are trying to execute and get to, the place that they want to be. And there will be these people who come in there into these spaces and they act like they know everything and they have nothing to show for it. What arrogance. I really do not want to be that person ever. I try my best not to be that person. I want to assume that I know nothing and be an empty cup, so to speak. And I hope I'm doing that. I hope that I can keep going. I'm trying to take feedback from all sorts of places and use that to formulate a better plan, work on my execution. I definitely still need to talk to you more, the viewer. I need to interact with chat more while I'm recording and stuff like that. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm trying to be more expressive, trying to move around more still. I'm kind of restating stuff from yesterday, but that's because this is the stuff that's at the top of my mind. This is still the stuff I'm thinking about. Every time I go to record, this is what I'm thinking about. Not only am I trying to come up with coherent thoughts off the top of my head, I'm also thinking about, am I looking at the camera? I'm checking myself for all of these little details to try to improve every single day. And I do not want to get stuck at the bottom, at the pit of the Dunning-Kruger, or ever think that I know more than I do. that's a very, very dangerous place to be, I think. And that's why I kind of hate everything that I've made so far. Is just, I know that it does not live up to what it could be. I know I could do it better. I know I could have reacted better. I could have said something funnier. I could have had a better string of thoughts. And coupled with all of that expectation of trying to be a more entertaining person, I'm also grappling with the ideas of, what does it mean to be me? It sounds like such a huge idea, right? It sounds so big and fancy, but that's really what I'm thinking about. What does it mean to be me on camera? At what point does an overreaction to something in a game become not me and inauthentic, you know? I think that's a really difficult thing to suss out, and maybe only time can suss that out, of where's the line drawn. Where does something feel inauthentic to me? Maybe that's the barometer, right? Maybe I should be looking at myself and thinking, okay, or looking inward and thinking, okay, I screamed right there. I wouldn't do that. I just did that because I thought it would, whatever. That's not me. I shouldn't do that again. Maybe that's all I should be looking for. I'm not really sure. I don't know how you figured that out. And that's honestly one of the biggest things that I'm thinking about, on top of all that other stuff, is that right there. How should I be? How do I be me? And it sounds so simple. Well, just be you. But I'm trying to be me and be entertaining. It's like the two pieces need to come together. I have to be both. And that's insanely difficult to do. I think that's why this is so hard. I legitimately think what I'm doing right now is probably one of the hardest things you can do on YouTube. There's a lot of ways to play the YouTube game, and I think the way I was playing before is rather easy, right? Informational content, where the content I make doesn't have to deal with me at all. I can just use game information. I go through, run down 20 facts about a game or something. It's really easy. All I have to do is research, write a decently compelling script, make sure it's edited okay, and it's fine. It'll work probably like 90% of the time, as long as there's no major points of friction. But this is so much different. It relies entirely on me. I think it's so much more difficult to execute this in this way, because there's nothing else to fall back on. You can do things like come up with gimmicks for videos, or come up with series, or I don't know, try and hop on news or trends or whatever. There are ways to make it easier on yourself, and I'm trying some of those. But at the end of the day, if you're just not fun to listen to, it doesn't feel like you can't develop a connection with your audience. It doesn't feel like that you're hanging out with me, or that I'm being honest or authentic, or it feels like I'm forced or fake. It just won't work. And so I truly do believe that this is one of the most difficult things that you can do in the YouTube game. But I'm happy to accept that challenge. I'm happy to come here every day, do this, try it, and then beat myself mentally, essentially, afterwards, and be like, these are all the ways that you fucked this up and it wasn't good. Come again tomorrow. And I think that's what it takes, probably for just about anything, to get good at anything. But this is especially difficult because your self-worth isn't tied nearly as much, I don't think, to your ability to run, right? Well, maybe for you it is, but for me it's not. If I don't run well, I might feel bad about it, but it doesn't feel like an attack on me. Whereas if I watch a video of myself trying to be entertaining and I'm not, it is an attack on me. It's who I am. I'm trying to be myself. And when myself is not good enough, that hurts. It definitely hurts. It's definitely difficult to deal with at times. But I'm happy to do it. I love this way more than anything I've ever done on YouTube, and I will not stop. I will keep going. But that is pretty much why I've hated everything I've made so far. And hate is a strong word. I do like some of it. It's just not, the gap is just still so obvious to me. And I have an idea on how to close it, but there's no way to know if that'll work. But I won't stop. And I know that, at least. So that's something. This was day, I don't know, maybe this is a week, right? I think this is a week. This is a week I've been on this new adventure. So it's pretty cool for a week. I think we're at 21 subs. We've got 12,000 views or something like that. It's not nothing. Progress is being made. The ball is starting to get rolling. If we keep going, I'm confident we'll see some actual motion. And because I will not stop, I will not miss days again. Hopefully, God, stuff might happen. I could get my leg blown off or something like that, and I might not be able to do it. But barring any horrible, tragic accidents, I'll be here every day, putting in the work until I'm exactly where I want to be. And I can promise you that.